As we know that the temperature distribution over the surface is controlled by two areas. Number one is the horizontal distribution of the temperature, and number two is the vertical distribution of the temperature. Uh, so here we already discussed that sun is the main source of energy. The sun provides us energy in the form of light and heat. सो हमें तकरीबन 100% जो है 100% जो सन से एनर्जी मिलती है इन द फॉर्म ऑफ शॉर्ट वेव मिलती है जिसे हम इनकमिंग सोलर रेडिएशन कहते हैं सो इन अदर वर्ड इन ज्योग्राफी वी कॉल इट द इंसोलेशन incoming solar radiations. So here, when we are dealing with the horizontal distribution of the temperature, or this temperature is actually the air temperature, or in other word, we can say that it is the atmospheric temperature. The Earth's surface is covered by different types of environment, maybe vegetal or mountainous. So the horizontal distribution of the temperature varies according to the surface condition. So here one thing is very important, that the surface type is controlling the air parcel. If surface is covered with the vegetal environment, यानी वहाँ पर जो है वो वेजिटेशन मौजूद है, या इन अदर वर्ड वो एरिया जो है फॉरेस्ट कवर्ड है, तो वहाँ जो सरफेस पे एयर पार्सल होगा वो टोटली डिफरेंट होगा डेजर्ट इन्वायरमेंट में, वेयर वी हैव स्पार्सली कवर्ड एरिया विद वेजिटेशन, यानी जहाँ पर जो है जो वेजिटेशन कवर है वो कम है. सो दोनों का जो एयर पार्सल है वो डिफरेंट होगा, बिकॉज or in other word, the air temperature is totally different from each other. Why? Because of the surface conditions. So environmental conditions is controlling the horizontal distribution of the temperature. One thing is another very important is the surface of the earth is covered generally by water and continent. So water environment hai or continental environment hai, both are totally different. Water has different capacities of holding temperature, and the continental area is act differently. Daily and annual cycle of insolation vary systematically with latitudes, causing air temperature to vary as well. Yearly insolation decreases toward the poles, so less energy is available to heat the air. Now, in other words, we can say here that the area which is closer to the equator are receiving direct rays. Here the angle is 90. The area which is at middle latitudes, those are receiving rays, the sun rays at 60 angles, and the area which are at 60-degree latitude, or called the subpolar areas, are receiving sun rays at 30 angle. So like as we have during the day, morning and evening rays are tilt rays, but नून टाइम में जो सन रेज हैं वो वर्टिकल हमें रिसीव होती हैं या वो 90 एंगल पे होती हैं. सो इट मींस कि जो आपकी एंगल ऑफ इंसुलेशन है ये हॉरिजेंटल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ टेम्परेचर में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करती हैं. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी आर रिसीविंग हाई टेम्परेचर्स, और वी हैव the areas which are under the high temperature zones are closer to the equatorial regions or 0-degree latitudes. और moderate areas जो हैं वो आपके उन एरियाज में शामिल होते हैं जो कि मिडल एल्टीट्यूड्स के हैं, वेयर एज द एरियाज विच आर अंडर द फ्रीजिंग पॉइंट टेम्परेचर आर क्लोजर टू द polar regions. So these are the areas where we have complete under the low temperature zones. So another thing which is important in the angle of insolation, okay, half of the earth is in front of the sun. So this area is in front of the sun. So that's why actually under the day environment or under the temperature zones, but half of the portion which is behind the sun is actually under the night condition. So यहाँ हम देख सकते हैं कि जो डे टाइम एरिया है वहाँ पर टेम्परेचर उसे जो इन फ्रंट ऑफ द सन एरिया है वहाँ पर हमें टेम्परेचर ज़्यादा मिलेगा, वेयर एज जो बिहाइंड द सन एरियाज़ हैं जहाँ पर नाइट इन्वायरमेंट है रात के वक्त टेम्परेचर कम होंगे. सो डे टाइम सिचुएशन एंड नाइट टाइम सिचुएशन जो हमें 24 आवर में चेंज नज़र आती है, उस वजह से भी हमें हॉरिजेंटल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ टेम्परेचर हमें डिफरेंट महसूस होगा. So in this slide we are dealing with the revolution of the earth. So earth is moving around the sun and it completes one revolution in 364 days. But the thing is very important. The area which is in front of the sun rays is the southern hemisphere. So यहाँ southern hemisphere में summer season होगा, but northern hemisphere में ये वाला जो portion है northern hemisphere north, this area is under winter season. But इसके opposite अगर हम देखते हैं तो इक्वेटर जो है वो ये वाला है. Now the northern hemisphere is in front of the sun, so that's why the summer is in the northern hemisphere, whereas southern hemisphere में winter season होगा. So seasonal change में भी horizontal distribution of temperature जो है वो different होगा. Sometime southern hemisphere में गर्मी की वजह से वहाँ temperature high होंगे और sometime northern hemisphere में हम summer season को देखते हैं, which is अभी is 22nd of the June, which is called the summer solstice. So this is one of the reason that horizontal distribution of the temperature is controlled by the revolution. Now insolation is also controlled by the tiltness of the rays. In this slide, the rays are coming from the sun, but it has different aspect of temperature zones. Now here, vertical rays covers 100 square kilometer. It will cover in the subpolar areas thrice as compared to the equatorial zones. So it may be 300 square kilometer. So it means कि वो रे जो कि हमें इक्वेटर पे पड़ती है वो कम जगह घेरती है और वहाँ ज़्यादा दर्जा हरारत हम महसूस करते हैं. Whereas जो सब पोलर एरियाज़ या मिडिल लैटिट्यूड्स के जो ऊपर के एरियाज़ हैं 90 डिग्री नॉर्थ और साउथ के दरमियान, वहाँ पर ये टिल्ट रेज जो है ज़्यादा कवर करती है एरिया. सो दैट्स वाई वहाँ टेम्परेचर कम हमें महसूस होता है. Second most important thing is the flow of the heat. Now, if the surface is covered with water, so here we have a latent heat flow. Most of the process is evaporation. When water evaporates at a surface, it removes the heat stored in the change of state from liquid to the vapor, thus cooling the surface. When water condenses at a surface, latent heat is released, so warming the surface. Now, the second process in water environment is the convection. This is another form of energy transfer. Upward flowing currents can cool the surface, whereas downward flowing currents warm the surface. But over the continental areas, the conduction of heat flow is occurring. It decreases the flow of sensible heat from a warmer substance to a cooler one through direct contact. During day, heat flows into the soil and warm the surface. At night, heat is conducted back to the cooler soil surface. The horizontal distribution of the temperature is always shown by the lines. Those lines are called the isotherms. So these are the lines which join the places which have equal temperatures. So here one thing is very important कि ये आइसोथर्म जो हैं वो वेदर मैप पे दिखाए जाते हैं. ये कोई एक्चुअल लाइंस नहीं है, ये फर्जी लाइंस होती हैं जो उन मकामात को आपस में मिलाती हैं जहाँ दर्जा हरारत एक जैसा होता है.